Testing. What if the reason pregnancy hasn't happened yet has to do less with the date that you ovulate and more to do with everything your body's doing the weeks leading up to it? In today's episode, we are pulling back the curtain on the hidden work your body's doing before an egg is ever released. We'll talk about why healthy ovulation depends on so much more than reproductive hormones, how your brain, metabolism, stress, thyroid, and other systems all play a role, and why understanding this process can help you ask better questions as you navigate your fertility journey. So, if you ever find yourself wondering why isn't pregnancy happening, this episode is for you. Do you long to get pregnant and trust your body again? Do you feel exhausted by the month after month cycle of hope and disappointment? Do you carry that creeping sense of failure? The fear that your body just isn't working the way that it should? If so, I'm so glad that you're here, my friend. Hi, I'm Mariana, a wife, mom, and a fertility care practitioner. After years of confusion and heartache, I learned how to understand my cycle with clarity and move towards pregnancy naturally by following a real system instead of guessing. This is Fertile Window Lab. If you're ready for real clarity about your cycle, a simple method that works, and less pressure from predictions, alarms, and fertility gymnastics, sit down the sticks, pop in your earbuds, and let's make sense of your fertility together. When I first became a fertility care practitioner, I imagined most of the women who will walk through my door would be looking for a natural way to plan their families. I thought I'll spend my days teaching women how to understand their cycles so they could either achieve or postpone a pregnancy with confidence. But it didn't take long for me to realize that wasn't who was finding me. The women who came to me were not just looking for a method, they were looking for answers. Month after month, year after year, they hoped for a positive pregnancy test that never came. Many had already seen doctors. Some had even been told everything looked normal. Others had already been introduced to IVF as the next logical step. Yet, beneath all of those different stories was the same question. Can someone help me understand why I'm not able to get pregnant? And that's when something became painfully clear to me. Most women have never been taught the language of their hormones. We know the words estrogen and progesterone. We joke about being hormonal. We blame hormones when we're irritable, emotional, or craving chocolate. But if I were to ask an average woman what estrogen actually does, why progesterone rises after ovulation, why testosterone is important for women too, or how insulin, cortisol, or thyroid hormones influence fertility, most of us will draw a blank. And this is not because we're not intelligent, but because no one ever taught us. At school, we learn algebra, we memorize parts of a frog, but somehow no one explained the incredible process that happens inside of our bodies every single month. And the more women that I serve and the more that I continue to study women's health, the more convinced I become that hormone literacy isn't just helpful. It's foundational because you can't understand fertility without understanding the hormones that make fertility possible. Your hormones don't work in isolation. They work in a sequence. Every month, each hormone has a specific role at a specific time. Estrogen prepares the egg, progesterone prepares the uterus, and hormones like insulin, cortisol, and thyroid hormones help determine whether the rest of the body has the resources to support healthy ovulation. When one of those processes is disrupted, the effects ripple through everything that follows. That's often what we experience as a hormonal imbalance. And that is why most women misunderstand ovulation. They think it's a single event. One day you ovulate, one day you don't. But that's not how our body actually works. Ovulation is actually the final steps and weeks of preparation. Long before you ever see a positive ovulation test, before your fertile window, before your egg is released, your body has already been hard at work. And through all of it, your body's asking one important question. Are we ready to support the beginning of a pregnancy? Because healthy ovulation doesn't happen by accident. It is the result of countless signal systems and hormones working together over the course of weeks. Again, one of the biggest misconceptions about fertility is that ovulation begins with the egg is released. It doesn't. So let's take a look at what preparation actually involves. Like I said, it all begins with a conversation. Every month, your brain sends the first signals to your ovaries, essentially saying, it is time to begin preparing for an egg. That conversation, it starts between two small but powerful areas of your brain, the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland. Together, they send hormones that tell the ovaries it is time to recruit a group of follicles, each containing an immature egg. In response, several follicles begin developing. Each follicle contains an immature egg. Usually, one follicle becomes dominant. And as the follicle grows, it produces increasing amounts of estrogen. Estrogen isn't simply a female hormone. It's one of the first signs that a healthy egg is developing. As estrogen rises, it gets to the rest of your body ready for what it comes next. It thickens the uterine lining. It stimulates the production of cervical mucus so a sperm can have a better environment to survive. And when estrogen reaches that right level, it sends a message back to the brain saying, the egg is ready. That signal triggers ovulation. But here's why this is important. If that follicle doesn't mature well, if estrogen doesn't rise up properly, or if that conversation between your brain and your ovaries breaks down, ovulation may be delayed, inconsistent, or may not even happen at all. And if healthy ovulation isn't happening, pregnancy becomes less likely. In other words, estrogen isn't the destination. Is part of the preparation. So you might be asking, how do I support a healthy follicle development? This is where your whole body becomes involved. Your liver helps to metabolize estrogen. Your gut plays a role in eliminating it. A stable blood sugar supports hormone signaling, and adequate nutrition provides the building blocks your body needs. Healthy ovulation isn't just about producing estrogen. It's about supporting the environment where estrogen can do his jobs. Because your body doesn't just ask, can we release the egg? It first asks, is this a healthy environment to support the beginning of a pregnancy? As ovulation approaches, another hormone quietly joins the process, testosterone. Yes, women need testosterone too, not nearly as much as men, but we absolutely need it. Around ovulation, testosterone naturally rises, and it helps to fuel confidence, energy, libido, and motivation. There is a reason many women naturally feel more outgoing and interested in intimacy around ovulation. That is biology working beautifully. And on the other hand, low testosterone may affect libido and energy, and higher than normal testosterone, especially alongside insulin resistance, can be part of conditions like PCOS. Again, the goal isn't more, the goal is balance. So if you've ever been told your testosterone levels are off, instead of simply trying to raise the levels or lower the levels, we need to ask, why is it off in the first place? If PCOS is present, addressing insulin resistance often becomes part of restoring hormonal balance. At this point, you might be thinking, so if estrogen is rising, shouldn't ovulation just happen? Not necessarily, because growing a healthy follicle requires more than reproductive hormones. It requires a healthy metabolic environment. One of the hidden jobs your body is doing before ovulation is deciding whether there is enough energy available, and that's where insulin comes in. Insulin isn't usually considered a reproductive hormone, but maybe it should be. Insulin helps move glucose from the bloodstream into your cells for energy. When your cells stop responding well, your body produces more insulin, and that is insulin resistance. High insulin can interfere with ovulation. That means the challenge isn't always fertilization. Sometimes the challenge is that a healthy egg was never fully prepared or released in the first place. And if ovulation isn't happening consistently, your chances of pregnancy naturally become lower each month. It is one reason many women with PCOS struggle to conceive. But even women without PCOS can benefit from healthy insulin sensitivity because it supports the entire hormonal balance. How can we do this in our everyday life? You can start by prioritizing protein, walking after meals, build muscle, reduce frequent blood sugar spikes. Talk to your healthcare provider about checking fasting glucose, fasting insulin, or A1C if clinically appropriate. This is where lifestyle, including nutrition, movement, and in some cases, thoughtfully timed fasting under appropriate guidance can become part of improving your metabolic health. Your body is constantly gathering information. Do we have enough energy? Are we safe? Can we support pregnancy? Another element that can hijack the process is stress. Chronic stress doesn't guarantee you won't become pregnant, but over time, it can influence the hormone signals that supports healthy ovulation. That's one of the reasons caring for your nervous system isn't just about feeling peaceful. It's about supporting one of the early stages of fertility. Cortisol, the stress hormone, isn't bad. It's essential. You need cortisol to wake up every morning. The problem is chronic stress. When cortisol stays elevated for long periods, it can influence reproductive hormones. Your body becomes more focused on survival than in reproduction. Chronic stress may contribute to disrupted ovulation, poor sleep, cravings, and changes in cycle patterns. So you might be thinking, it is impossible to eliminate stress. My goal for you here will be think, how can you become more resilient? And this can be done via protecting your sleep, strength training, walking, prayer or meditation, nervous system regulation techniques like breath work, meaningful relationships. As you can see, so far, we have talked about whether your body has enough energy, whether it feels safe enough to support reproduction, but there's one more system quietly influencing all of this. It's a system that helps to regulate the pace of nearly every process in your body. Your thyroid helps to regulate the pace of your metabolism in nearly every cell of your body. That means it quietly influences many of the processes we have already talked about, from follicle development to ovulation and even the regularity of your menstrual cycle. When thyroid function isn't optimal, the entire sequence gets affected. I have actually done an entire episode on thyroid health, so I won't go into detail today. But if you are experiencing irregular cycles, recurrent miscarriages, unexplained infertility, or persistent fatigue, thyroid health is absolutely worth discussing with your healthcare provider. This is why fertility can feel so confusing. Two women can both have regular periods, both can ovulate, but one may be creating a healthier environment for ovulation than the other. And that's why we can reduce fertility to one hormone, one lab result, or even one cycle. Healthy ovulation is a product of many systems working together. And if all of those systems have been working together well, your body reaches an incredible milestone, ovulation. This is when the egg is released. But ovulation isn't the finish line. Is the beginning of a new phase, because now your body has to answer a different question. If conception happens, are we ready to support the new life? Once the egg is released, your body's work isn't over. In many ways, it's just beginning. The follicle that had held the egg doesn't disappear. It transforms. Think about it this way. Estrogen prepares the stage, progesterone prepares the home. After ovulation, the empty follicle transforms into a temporary gland called the corpus luteum. That tiny structure begins producing progesterone. Progesterone stabilizes the uterine lining so an embryo can implant and continue developing. If pregnancy occurs, progesterone supports that new life until the placenta takes over. Low progesterone may contribute to difficulty maintaining pregnancy, recurrent miscarriages, among many other possible causes, spotting before periods, short luteal phases, severe PMS in some women. But it also affects your brain. Progesterone supports GABA, one of your common neurotransmitters, and that's why healthy progesterone often feels like peace, and unhealthy progesterone feels like anxiety. So how we support progesterone production? The answer is simple: by supporting ovulation in the first place. You don't take progesterone unless you ovulate. Progesterone loves to be nourished. Prioritize your sleep, especially after you ovulate. Manage chronic stress. Eat enough good carbohydrates after ovulation rather than staying in a prolonged low-carb state if that is inappropriate for your body. And avoid chronic underfueling. Progesterone is the hormone level that we can test to identify whether ovulation occurred or not. That's why a complete evaluation is important, so you don't miss valuable information. And this is actually one of the things I help women understand during my fertility clarity call. Together, we look at your cycle, your symptoms, your history, and begin identifying where the conversation between your hormones may be breaking down. Most of the times, women leave the conversation saying, for the first time, I finally understand what's happening to my body. Now, I'm going to describe a 28-day cycle because it is the easiest way to visualize what's happening. But remember, not every healthy cycle is 28 days. What's important isn't having the perfect length. is that your hormones are following the right sequence. So from days 1 to 10, your brain communicates with the ovaries, the follicle is selected, estrogen rises, and your uterine lining begins preparing. Day 11 to 15 generally is when estrogen peaks, testosterone rises, and your body releases the egg. Day 16 to 28, the follicle becomes the corpus luteum, and progesterone prepares the lining of the uterus. If pregnancy doesn't occur, hormone levels naturally decline and the new cycle begins. My friend, if there is one thing I hope you take away today, is this: ovulation isn't a single event. It's a result of weeks of preparation. Remember, before your body ever releases an egg, it's asking hundreds of tiny questions. Do we have enough energy? Is the brain communicating with the ovaries? Is the follicle developing well? Is the environment ready to support the new life? And this is why fertility is about so much more than a hormone or one lab result. It's about understanding and supporting the systems that make healthy ovulation possible. Because healthy ovulation is one of the first steps towards creating the conditions for a healthy pregnancy. And if you've been trying to conceive and it hasn't happened yet, I hope this episode reminds you that your body isn't simply succeeding or failing each month. It is constantly communicating. And when we learn to understand that communication, we can begin asking better questions, seeking better answers, and supporting the whole body, not just one hormone. Your cycle isn't just measuring your fertility, it's revealing the health of the systems that make fertility possible. And that is exactly where we're headed together over the next several episodes, as we explore other systems that influence healthy ovulation and ultimately your fertility.
I'm my mama's little fertility helper. If this episode has helped you, or if you feel a little more hopeful, leave a review. She'll love it.
Hi, DTC Warrior. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, please leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. It truly helps to get this show into ears of more women who need it. And be sure to sign up for my weekly encouragement, tips, and insights straight to your inbox. I promise to keep it practical, hopeful, and faith-friendly. All right, I'm off to tacos, chocolate, and chart my cycle. I'll meet you back here next week. Bye.